Hi, my name's Finn. I'm one of the academic coordinators here at LABASAD, and I'm joined by James Barnard today, who is a renowned graphic designer. How are you, James?
Renowned. Thank you very much. That's very nice. I'm good, thanks. Very good. Sat here on the Gold Coast, Australia. It's middle of winter here, so it's pretty chilly. It's not something I signed up for when I moved to Australia, so I'm missing London right now. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here today, and thank you for having me.
No worries, yeah. I know what you mean about the weather and stuff, but luckily it's quite hot here in Barcelona.
So I hear.
Wonderful. So today we're actually going to share with you some of the questions that were asked by some of our students here at LABASAD, Barcelona School of Arts and Design, and we're going to break those down into three categories. So we have social media, content/training, and then freelancing. So we'll start with social media. What 3 tips do you have for succeeding in social media as a graphic designer?
Well, personally, I've had huge amounts of success making video content. So it can be, almost about anything. My specific content is based around case studies, freelancer advice, and sort of software tips and tricks, really. So by sort of showing myself as the expert in graphic design, that actually has led to a bit of success on social media, which has then led to clients coming off the back of that as well. So kind of by positioning myself as a teacher almost, when there's new tips and tricks that come out with Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, it says to a client, this guy knows what he's talking about, right? So it actually leads to more leads. So I get a following from graphic designers and a following from the clients as well. So it's kind of a win-win. Another tip would be finding unique ways to share your work on social media. And so when I do my case studies, or maybe like a software tip and trick, when I use an example on the screen, I'll use my own work in that example. And that's a really kind of, nice little trick that I'm not sort of showcasing anybody else's logos. I'm using my own designs. So every time I'm doing a tutorial or a piece of content, that's my work in there. And then that's kind of getting it in front of the client as well. And then the case studies, the third tip would be just sort of sharing your work. And lots of people on Instagram and even TikTok, they just kind of just share the portfolio pieces with stills and images of what they've done. But I found real success in really going into detail with those case studies and talking about the times when the project didn't go quite right. And sometimes clients can be a bit difficult, and why that happened, and was that my fault or was that the client's fault? So it's kind of it works really well when you can sort of show your work as it happened and talk about the journey and how you sort of solved that client's problem. And again, that says to the clients that you know what you're doing, and it kind of gives them a hint of what the process might be like for them if we were ever to work together.
Amazing. So it's like you say, it's showing an insight into the creative process and the whole journey along the way. And I think that's something creative people tend to really seek and sort of like, is when they're able to sort of gain those insights and see the entire creative process. That's really cool.
Definitely.
What would you say is the most important thing to build your personal brand? The most important thing?
I'd say consistency, really. So whenever I do my sort of own content, I always talk about the same things so that people that are following me on social media know what to expect. So there's no surprises there. And the same thing sort of goes with clients. I'm not doing work that's outside of a certain niche. I've been lucky enough in my career to do lots and lots of different parts of the graphic design spectrum. Photoshop work, video editing, animating in After Effects, and logo design was the one that I really enjoyed the most. And when I niched down into that, sticking to it and being known for that in my industry is allowed me to sort of sell my services a lot easier. It's so much harder to sell generic graphic design in a saturated market full of people who know how to use Photoshop and can do anything from digital display banners to print advertising. Being known for one thing actually allows you to sort of sell your wares a little bit better. So that's why I think the case studies have worked really well on my social media, is because I'm the logo guy now, and when anybody wants a logo, they know where to come. So yeah, it's kind of worked really well for me.
So that's sort of like your USP, your unique selling point, is that, definitely, as you said, you've become the logo guy. Amazing. Yeah. Wonderful. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit now about content/training. So currently in the graphic design sector, what do you think is most valued in someone's portfolio? So what do clients really want to see in order to hire you, is what I'm asking.
I think they want to know that you can solve their problems. So, any great graphic designer is solving issues or solving problems, and being able to demonstrate that on your portfolio is actually something it's a bit tricky to do. So, for instance, on my portfolio, whenever I do a case study, I'll always have the client brief kind of succinctly written in a little sort of bulleted format at the start. Then I'll talk about my solution to solving the issues that they had in whether that's, they wanted a rebrand or they wanted to move away from an old logo that they didn't like, how I solved that problem for them. And then listing out the specific ways and the specific steps that I did in order to sort of help them through that process. So if you've worked on a project and you were involved in the website and the logo design, it's basically itemizing that stuff there. And the best thing of all, the absolute, if I could give you one tip for a piece of portfolio, is get a testimonial from your client. It's always something that people forget at the end of a job. You've had a great project together, it's worked really well. Would you mind writing me a short testimonial for my website? And I stick those on the homepage. It's just like such a proof of, it's like social proof, isn't it? Like when people see other clients that have had work done for them and they're saying these wonderful things about you, stick it up there in bold on your portfolio, and it'll absolutely help sell that next client.
Absolutely, as you said, it's like almost like a stamp of approval, and it sort of helps promote your work, and it shows sort of the, as you were talking about before, I think this is a really important word, your journey, so the certain companies and projects that you've worked on. So no, I think that's a really good point. In this sense, do you think it's important to keep training yourself? What would you recommend to improve yourself as a professional in terms of, for example, if you wanted to do a course at an art school or a design school?
I like how you crowbarred that one in there. Well done. So obviously the software changes all the time, and we have to stay abreast of all of these new bits and pieces that come out in the likes of Illustrator and Photoshop. And for me, there's no better way to learn than by watching somebody else work, or to actually watch someone work live. And so I'm constantly on like Adobe Live and Behance and sort of Twitch streams, watching other graphic designers do their thing. And I run my own live streams with Adobe, where I go through like building out maybe a logo design or editing a TikTok reel, something like that. But just by watching others work, you pick up on things that you might not have seen before, and stuff that you just can't learn through the tutorials, through the software packages themselves. And watching someone who's got like 10 years experience fly around Illustrator, and you have to rewind the video and go, what the hell did they just do there? That is just completely invaluable to me, because it just helps speed up your workflow, shows you things that you might not have been aware of before. And yeah, it's basically the equivalent of sitting next to a designer, but because post-pandemic we don't do that anymore, we're all working remotely. Live streaming is kind of like the next best thing for that. So I think having access to places where it's all free as well is just amazing. So yeah, watching live streams would be my tip there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the main benefits of studying at LABASAD is, as you said, it's being able to see professionals and people who are experts in their field being able to create and seeing that entire process. And as you said, like, we have moments where we're like, wow, what was that? I need to rewind it. And it's one of the cool things as well about using the methodology that we use with the online classes.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's have a chat about that, because I notice you guys do a sort of similar approach where you have an online or live methodology with your classes. Like, how does that actually work? So
yeah, as you said, so we call it OnLive. It's a remote online learning. What that means is our alumni, our teachers, instructors, they can teach and learn from anywhere in the world. We have many different subjects, such as graphic design, interior design, hospitality, UI, UX design, lots of different creative fields. And we have experts in each of those subjects who have lots of experience. And as you said, with the OnLive methodology, they're able to show students some of their previous work, they can give them advice and insight, and then they can also, as you said, show parts of their creative process, which I think is really vital in improving your own skills and building your portfolio. And that's something that all of our students also leave with by the end of the course, is an improved portfolio with substantial work and, as you said, a journey showing how they've improved. So I think it's really important.
That's amazing. So So what kind of professionals actually teach at LABASAD?
Yeah, so as I said, the kind of professionals we have teaching, we have people who are experts in their field. For example, we have people who've worked for brands such as Nike, Apple, Coca-Cola, Sonos, and they're able, exactly, I know, I'm amazed that we have these people, we're privileged to have these people working with us as well. And they're able to sort of talk about, as you said, what clients want, the processes and how you develop your work and what you're able to do. So it's not just purely technical, it's also really good in terms of offering students advice about how to get work and how to, for example, even things such as simple things as invoicing and what you want to do if you want to be a successful freelancer.
That's amazing. I think that's something that's really important. That when I was learning graphic design, I learned sort of after a university degree, and I was never taught the business of design and actually how to sell yourself as a designer and how to justify your own work and rationalize your own designs. And then, yeah, like you say, like invoicing and how do you price your work? Like it's just something that I was just never taught before.
It's one of those things, as you say, it sort of sounds quite simple and you just assume that people would know. But of course, I think one of the cool things about LABASAD is that we don't just focus on just technical things. We also want to make professionals. We want to make people who are able to, if not during the course, after the course, be able to go straight into the professional realm. And some of our students already are working and they're just looking to improve on and build their skills. So that's one of the good things as well. Our courses are for people who are starting out, who've never done something before, who are in the process and maybe midway through their career, or someone who just wants to improve on the skills they already have. And that sort of nicely brings me on to, I've got a couple of questions for you about, so our final part is about freelancing, which is, as we've just been talking about, is essential in working in design. How do you get clients as a freelancer, James? What kind of things do you use? Do you use things like social media, Fiverr, any websites in particular?
There's a few places to do it. I certainly don't use Fiverr. Let's just get that one out of the way straight away. I kind of see it as allowing clients to find me rather than me trying to find clients. Okay, so you're gonna convert a heck of a lot more business if you're drawing leads in rather than cold emailing people seeing if they need any graphic design work. And you do that in a few ways. Basically, you need to nail down who your ideal client is. First of all, who do you want to work for, and try and attract them by creating content around their industry. So let's say for me, logo design, I'll be setting up landing pages for specific types of clients on my website, writing articles about those specific types of jobs so that I'm bringing in sort of SEO traffic to the website. Great portfolio work, so really high quality premium mock-ups of the work that I've done, and not just kind of like saturating with everything that I've done over my career. It would just fill, a website would be scrolling forever. Nailing down the projects that I'm really proud of and truly, want to attract more of in my industry. And then within those, sort of targeting the keywords so that when people are searching, and then they'll find you a lot easier. So I was really lucky on my website. I very quickly went to the top of the list when I was living in London for Freelance Logo Designer London. And I was like number one for a really long time until I moved to Australia and wrecked it all. But yeah, having that attractability is the main thing there. And social media totally helps with that because it leads in and it goes to the website. But you do have to have a good sort of sales funnel in place so that people can find you easily and figure out how to work with you easily as well.
Amazing. So as you said, it's more a case of them coming to you than as you said, like cold emailing or cold calling, and it's sort of, I really like that. Amazing. And as you said, building your portfolio definitely helps with that. How do you know what price to put on your work? This is a question we hear in all of our subjects from all of our students.
Yeah. It's really tricky. I still don't think I've got it right. I've been in the industry for almost 15 years. And I started late in the grand scheme of things. I was 25 when I retrained as a graphic designer and started again. I still struggle with it. It's about adjusting. And my colleague, James Martin, made by James, is a famous logo designer. He says, keep adjusting and be open to wiggle. So if it works for one client, keep pushing that price up a little bit and just keep testing the waters until you kind of get a bit of bounce back, or maybe don't get as many leads, and try and sort of find a happy medium, or that sweet spot between the jobs that you take on and the prices that you charge. One thing I will say though is, as soon as you possibly can, get off hourly billing, because it limits your income so drastically. When you've got only so many hours in the day, you've immediately just capped your income right off the bat. So try and charge by project if you can. I know it's not easy, because some industries it just kind of doesn't work, that either the jobs are too small or they're sort of too infrequent that it doesn't really work as a kind of project. But if you can, just start billing by project basis. And I have a system on my website now where I have sort of 3 tiers of packages, which allow people to go through what you can expect if you book each of these packages. I don't put the prices on my website, because I did that once a few years ago and got no leads whatsoever in the space of 2 months. It just destroyed my cash flow. It was an unmitigated disaster. So don't do that. But yeah, having a sort of structure in place behind the scenes allows you then to kind of have your ducks in a row. When you get that client that comes through the door that wants to spend a bit more, you can upsell them on different things by tailoring your packages to suit that client. So it is tricky. I know it's not like a one size fits all, just pluck a number out of the air, but it's kind of, you have to kind of toy with it and experiment with it over a course of an entire career until you find that sweet spot. And it's also massively dependent on things like, is there a recession going on? Is there a cost of living crisis? Are people being let go left, right, and centre? Is it what time of year it is as well as a massive factor, where the budgets are in the year. So you do just have to experiment, unfortunately.
Amazing. Yeah, as you said, I think that idea you had of the tiered plan system and the structure, I think that's fantastic, because you pretty much see that across the board now with most subscription models, and I think it's a really good way of presenting your work. And as you said, someone might want a small project, someone might want a larger project, and then they're able to use that system to decide what they want. So I think that's a really brilliant idea. What platform/tools do you recommend to manage yourself as a freelance graphic designer? So for example, Calendly or any other tools that you use on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I do use Calendly. That's quite a new one for me as well, actually. Calendly allows you to send a link to a client for them to book a meeting with you. So you just fill in all the times that you're available, and they click on it and they can find a time. And for me, being in Australia, time differences are just a disaster. So having something like that available is really good. There's the usual, Google Drive is obviously a huge part of my day-to-day work, sharing files with clients. But also working with the Adobe CC libraries as well. I'm a massive advocate of the libraries inside Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign, so that when I'm working on a logo project, I can then drop the logo design files into the library, pick them up again from Photoshop and InDesign to make client presentations, to make mock-ups for clients. And then if there's a change to that logo, I just double click on that library instance, update it, and it filters that change down through all my different pieces of software. So that's like a huge time saver for me, massive sort of workflow boost for me as well. And then having a CRM as a freelancer, this is something again that's quite new to me. I use a company called Bloom, and they have they've a sort of sales funnel for me on my website. So when you want to find out more about my services or how to get in touch with me, you click on this. It goes to a form which they can then fill out and let me know their budget, what they might want, in terms of logo resources from me, and then that automatically goes into like a lead list, and I can manage those leads and book projects and generate invoices directly from this piece of software. You can obviously do all that inside Excel and PDFs and make your own invoices and stuff, but it doesn't help when you get like a viral video on social media and you get 70 leads in a single day. Trying to manage all those with email and copying pasting emails into an Excel sheet is just an utter disaster. So having a CRM system in place is just absolutely a no-brainer.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing. That's some great bits of advice there. Well, James, thank you so much for answering my questions and the questions from the LABASAD students. I have one question myself, actually. What's one of your favorite logos that you've designed or worked on? Could you tell me?
Oh, it's this electric E behind me, the one that's in this frame
over
there. It's in reverse for you guys, but it's an extruded E with a lightning bolt in the middle of the design, and it's a great story because it was actually a rejected logo from a client. One client didn't want it, and so I entered it into the Logo Lounge book. I always have this handy here, and they liked it so much they put it on the back cover. So that was what kind of got me started on social media and my video about bragging about getting into that book did so well on TikTok. It went viral. People started messaging me saying, can I have this logo since it's rejected? And so I did a little poll. A few people got back to me, and I ended up giving it away to an electrician in the south of England called Chloe for her company, Engage Electrical, with the 2 E's. So it was a perfect fit. So it's just one of those instances where some jobs are just, not fit for every single client, and they are for others, and you never know. Don't throw away your old work, basically. That's the moral of that tale.
Yeah, I think that's such great advice. As you said, something that you create might not be for one client, but someone else might pick it up straight away. So yeah. I think that's amazing.
There's a line that I have in my terms of service, but it's basically any ideas or sketches or unused logo designs that are not chosen by the client remain mine. It's like an IP thing that allows me to use unused, rejected ideas on other projects. So it's kind of really important piece of T's and C's that I have in there that allows me just to retain my ideas and make sure that they're not owned by the client that didn't use them.
That's amazing. I think that's definitely something our students should consider if they're creating things, as you said, is ownership and the T's and C's, as they say. Amazing. Well, James, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today and answering those questions. And I look forward to seeing more of your work.
Thanks very much, Finn. Take it easy. And thanks again for your time. It's really, really nice to have been a part of this. And hopefully we'll chat soon.
Absolutely. And if any of you guys watching this want to learn more about what we offer here at LABASAD, you can visit us at our website, which is labasad.com, or follow us on social media at labasad_design.